It's the truck, sir. Mr. Instructor, can you please put your seatbelt on? Turn my vehicle on. Okay, so look at my seatbelt. It's not cut or frayed. It's not damaged. Not worn thin. It locks. It unlocks. Security mounted to the truck. So right here under the hood, I have my spare electrical fuses. I have one fuse for every fuse necessary to operate this vehicle. Located under the hood. Right here, directly behind me, I have my fully charged, my properly rated, or my fully charged and properly rated fire extinguisher located right here behind the driver's seat. Outside of the cabin, my jockey box, I have my 3 red reflective triangles. So right here next, I'm looking at my mirrors. They're securely mounted, they're not damaged, they're not cracked. Adjusted for my safe driving. No illegal stickers, clean and free of debris. Next, I'm looking at my windshield here. Not cracked, no illegal stickers, securely mounted to the vehicle, not damaged, no missing hardware, no illegal stickers, clean and free of debris. My windshield wiper blades, they work here. Turn them on for you. They run smoothly. Adequate window washer fluid. They're not damaged, no missing hardware on the blades. Securely mounted to the vehicle. Next, I'm looking at my electric horn. It works.
Don't honk it.
I won't honk this one, but my air horn works. It's pretty loud. Not damaged. Next, I'm looking at my turn signals here. I have my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my 4-way flashers. I have my high beam here. The lights work, but anyway, they work, but you can't tell. But my high beam is right here. Okay. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna do now is check my gauges here. I'm gonna check my gauges, but in order to do that, I have to start my vehicle. So what I need to do here is something we call a safe start. Turn your vehicle off. You click it on, your ABS light goes on, your region light goes on, your ABS light goes off, your region light goes off. That means it's safe to start the vehicle. So right now my brakes are applied, my tractor brake and my trailer brakes are applied. I'm in neutral. My foot on the clutch, foot on the brake. Fired up the truck, release the clutch. Okay. So right here I have my voltmeter. It's at normal operating range. I have my oil pressure gauge. It's at normal operating range. I have my service application gauge. So when I press my service brake, this tells me how much pressure I'm putting on my service brake. That works properly. I have my water temperature gauge. It's rising to normal operating ranges. I have my oil temperature gauge. It's rising to normal operating ranges. I have my RPM gauge or my tachometer. It works. I have my speedometer here. It also works. I have my fuel gauge here and my DEF tank gauge right here. It's on green lights. That's good. Right here I have my primary and secondary air temperature gauges. They're both rising to normal operating ranges.
Let me see that. What is that? Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Good looking out.
Nice.
Right here I have my front and rear axle temperature gauges right here.
Nice.
They're both rising to normal operating ranges. Right here, well anyway, I have my trailer brake right here, my tractor brake here. They're both on right here. Here I have my load scale gauge. Right here's my transmission temperature gauge. So all my gauges work. Next thing I'm looking at is my fan speed right here. Here's my heater, and here is my, what the hell is this called again? My defroster. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. My defroster. So my defroster, you check it up top and you check it down low. So my defroster is working. That's very important. Here now I'm looking at checking my heater, making sure my heater works. My heater's working just fine. So that's good. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off now. It's too hot. Okay, so all my gauges are working properly. This completes my Incab inspection. Okay, the next thing I'll be doing is moving on to my air brake inspection, or my air brake test, a 7-point air brake test. So, oh, that's the sound of the governor cutting out. So the first test I'm going to do for my air brakes is my applied brake test. So in order to do my applied brake test, what I need to do is push this bad boy into first gear. I'm going to release my brakes, and I'm going to shut my vehicle off. And the reason why I shut my vehicle off, see, I put it in first gear, now my brakes are going to hold, I won't roll. So now...
And then tell them what to do with the key.
Oh yeah,
yeah, the key
off,
on.
Turn it back on. So now I'm turning my vehicle back on, my electrical back on. So what I'm gonna do is you let your gauges settle for a minute, for a couple seconds. Let your air pressure gauges settle. Now that these are settled, I'm gonna do the applied brake test. So the applied brake test is, I'm gonna press my service brake pedal for 1 minute. And in a combination vehicle, you can't lose no more than 4 psi in 1 minute. We have a timer right here, Let me make sure it's working. Hold on, wait. Reset it. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll be applying my service pedal. Right now, my pressure gauge is at about 120, 140, about I call that 118 psi.
Yep.
118 psi. So I'm gonna start my test. And like I said, you can't lose no more than 4 psi in 1 minute. This truck is pretty good, so we barely lose 1 psi in a minute, but you always got to make sure you tell the instructor or the DMV inspector, whoever he is what you're starting at, what you start your application gauge at, test at, and what it ends at. So as soon as the minute's up,
parameters.
Yeah, parameters. Yeah. At least my vehicle didn't jump today, Joe.
I know. Hey, you guys did good today.
Yeah.
Good drive and
It was
everything.
fun driving today too, man.
Better than going around that circle.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that circle. I said, no, we can't go around that circle again.
But tomorrow we'll do skills.
Hell yeah. Okay, that was my timer. The minute's up. So we went from about 118 psi to about 117, maybe 116 psi. That was a successful test. I left the brake. Turn my timer off.
So how many psi would you
I
lose?
lost about 2 psi in 1 minute, so that was a successful test. Alright, the next thing I'm going to be doing is my low air warning device test. And what that is I'm going to fan off the air pressure in my air tanks with my service pedal. And my low air warning light should come on in between 55 and 75 psi. So in order to do that, I'm going to start the test here. Okay, let me hit it again just for safety. Okay, so right now my low air warning device came on around 65 psi, in between 65 and 70 psi. That was a successful test. My low air warning device is working. So the next thing I'll be doing is moving on to my spring brake test. So what I'll be doing is I'll continue to fan out the pressure in my air tanks with my service pedal, my service brake, and my spring brake should come on around in between 20 and 45 psi. And how I know they'll come on is I release my brakes already. So once the spring brakes come on, my trailer parking valve and my tractor parking valve will pop out into the emergency position, letting me know that my spring brakes are working. So I'm starting the test now. Releasing all the air from my air tanks. And okay, so my spring brakes came on around 25, in between 25 and 30 psi. That was a successful test. My brakes are released. My brakes came on, so that's good. My next test is my governor cutout test, and what I'll be doing on this test is I need to build up the pressure back in my air tanks. So the governor cutout is when the governor can't cut out in no more than in between 120 and 140 psi, but no more than 140 psi. So what I need to do is turn my vehicle back on. But hold on, let me get a safe start. ABS light came on. Our region light came on. ABS light went out. Our region light went out. It's safe to start my vehicle. So hold on. Let me see here. Neutral. Brakes are on. I got my car in neutral. My truck in neutral right now. So I'm gonna let off my clutch. My brakes are on. So now what I'll be doing is I'll be building the pressure back up in my air tanks. And how you do this is you apply your accelerator, your gas pedal, and you want to get your RPMs up a little over 1,000. What this is doing is going to build up the pressure back in my air tanks. Now this It kind of takes a little bit of time, maybe like a minute or so, minute and a half. Kind of want to hold your RPMs in between 10 to 15. That was the sound of my low air warning device. I should turn it back off. A good sign. So how we know the governor cuts out, right? We're gonna be listening for the sound of the air escaping from the tank. That tells us that the governor cut out and it's no longer pumping air into our air tanks. So we should stop pumping air around 140 psi, no more than 140 psi. This old truck, it always cuts out at the last second, like about 138, 140, pretty much perfectly. It's actually a good truck. This is our baby on Scott.
Yeah, it's our baby
It's our
doll.
baby right here.
All we got to train with.
RPM's are a little high. Just around 1,000 RPM.
Trying to get it to cut out a little faster, Phil.
It won't.
It doesn't cut out faster if you rev it up more?
You just wasted the fuel.
Oh, okay. Well, the fuel's on at Michael's Transportation, so
Yeah.
that's a concern.
We don't care about
He
fuel.
has a fuel tank, a gas card to fill up the truck.
Yeah.
He uses it for his personal pickup all the time.
Yeah, right.
We noticed that.
Yeah. I seen it one
I'm
time.
starting to fill my minivan.
You hear that? That noise was the sound of the governor cutting out.
There it is.
And the governor
That's
cut
right.
out right at 140 on the money. So
Right.
that was a successful test.
What other money? Wow.
So that's good. Okay, after the governor cut out. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be testing my tractor parking brake and my trailer brake. So what I'll be doing here is, first gear, what I'm doing here is putting this bad boy into first gear. I'm going to release my tractor brake. My trailer brake is on. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be pulling on my trailer with my tractor. So you're going to feel a slight tug, and that tells me my trailer brakes are holding. So what I have to do is release the clutch a little bit, and then get a little tug. I don't know if you can feel that. There it is. There it is. That was a successful tug right there. That was a successful test. The next thing I'll be doing is releasing my tractor brake and putting on my trailer brake. And I'll be doing the same thing. What I'm doing is tugging on my tractor to see if the tractor brakes are going to hold. So, same thing here. Put on the brake a little bit, on the clutch a little bit. For that tug, that tells me that my tractor brakes are holding. That was a successful parking brake test. We also call it the tug test. Next thing I'll be doing is releasing my tractor brake and my trailer brake. And I'm in first gear. What I want to do is I'm testing my surface brake pedal now. So I'm going to move the truck, roll the truck about a good 5 feet, test my brake pedal, see if that's holding, see if that's good, if it's in working order. So I'm going to let off the clutch a little bit nice and slow, moving like a couple feet, put my clutch in. That was a successful test. So now what I'll be doing now is putting my brakes back on, popping this bad boy back into neutral, getting off my clutch nice and good, nice and slow. This completes my air brake inspection test. It's safe to operate the vehicle.
Good job, homie.
Got it. Thank you, my boy.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
All right, you're up now, Scotty Too Hottie.
Scotty, too fucking.
Shoot.
I'm tired.
Nah, you're gonna nail it, bro.
Good job, buddy.
Right on, right on.